Hello, once more, and welcome back to the channel back here on YouTube, doing the 2024 Week 10 NFL prediction videos series. Here are the NFL predictions for 2024. Last week in Week 9, I finished 4-3 with the Chiefs winning last night in overtime 30-24, 4-3, which improves my season record to 28-35. First time I was above 500 since Week 6 of this year, and halfway point at the halfway point of the season, 28-35 going to Week 10. 9 weeks left. Let's get into it. Second half of the season getting started this week. Starting out with the Ravens and the Bengals. Lamar Jackson and the Ravens against the Bengals and Joe Burrow. Two teams that are going to be interesting. Bengals made a trade today on this Tuesday here for Bears running back Khalil Herbert because Zach Moss is out indefinitely for the Bengals. So who knows what that's going to do to the Bengals team. The rest of the Ravens, they're right behind the Steelers right now. By the way, in the standings, in a tight race between everyone in this division, the top three teams in the division. Browns bottom half the division. Hard to see what they're going to do the rest of the year. We'll see what happens with those two. This game's on Thursday night, by the way, with the Bengals and Ravens. Lamar Jackson was MVP last year, led a number one seed this year. This year, not so far number one seed. Number one seed right now goes to Kansas City, who's 8-0 through the first 9 weeks of the season with 9 weeks left to play. For this matchup, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Bengals have some key players to play past to. Lamar Jackson has key players to pass to. He's also a running quarterback. Joe Burrow's not a running quarterback. He passes a lot as well. Overall in this matchup, I do like Baltimore Ravens playing at home this week, which on Thursday Night Football, which should be interesting to see. I'm going to pick Baltimore to win this game, playing on Thursday Night Football at home against the Bengals to get themselves back into a different race. So give me the Ravens here on Thursday night. Moving on. Next up, playing Brock Purdy and the 49ers going in to Tampa Bay to play Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. Last night's game, the Buccaneers lost in overtime 30-24. And you can tell in the coin toss last night when the Chiefs won because that was heads and the Buccaneers picked tails, you could tell that Baker Mayfield knew that the game was over and the Chiefs marched downfield, scored a touchdown and won in overtime. But going to this matchup, Buccaneers, they're still without Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, but they made it to overtime last night, which is very interesting to see with all those injuries. 49ers, Christian McCaffrey's been out most of the year. They're not in first place right now. There's no Cardinals in first place in this division, which is interesting to see. But looking at the matchup on paper, 49ers, Buccaneers, two teams that want to win their divisions, not so far this season, which is kind of interesting, which I find interesting and surprising to me. I like the 49ers going on the road this week on Sunday to Tampa. It's Baker Mayfield and Buccaneers because if the Buccaneers are without their two leading receivers, even though they got to overtime last night without them, we'll see what happens this week. I do think the 49ers get the win in this one with Buccaneers without their leading receivers. So give me the 49ers on the road in this one here on Sunday afternoon. Moving on to the next matchup. The Denver Broncos going against my Kansas City Chiefs, my favorite team, 8-0 Kansas City Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. Last night, DeAndre Hopkins, 2 touchdowns for the Chiefs. And Mahomes made plays brilliantly like he always does as an MVP-type quarterback. 8-0 for the year. The Broncos come in. They're in second place in this division, a really interesting division. Broncos are making some strides to make it back to where they want to get to. Kansas City, my question about them. I know their defense has played well, and that's been a question mark the last 2 seasons. Their defense, I think, has come around a lot this year. The Chiefs, though, my question is about the offensive line still. Can they protect Patrick Mahomes on offense? Can the offensive line protect him? I don't know. Your first division game here coming up against the Broncos. You've won all your games so far. Can you prove? Can the offensive line stay healthy like they did for another AFC West opponent and get a win this week against the Broncos? I think that will happen this week. It's going to be interesting to see how, though, and how it does happen in the matchup coming up on Sunday. Chiefs still playing at home, 8-0 on the year. Interesting to see enough. And the question is, when will Travis Kelce come around and start catching touchdowns? I'm not so sure. The running backs, Chiefs need to find a way to get the running backs movement. Kareem Hunt last night, Carson Steele, Sammy Pernier, not doing well. But can they get the running backs going for Kansas City? I think if they do, they have a good chance to win. If you get Travis Kelce some catches, that would be good as well because DeAndre Hopkins can't be the leader. It used to be Travis Kelce, but DeAndre Hopkins has came in and has become the new member and made some strides. With that being said, I like the Kansas City Chiefs this week at home, as I do think they remain unbeaten against the Broncos. We'll see, though, what happens if the Chiefs get to 9-0 this week. Next up, we're going to Washington, the Commanders. Jaden Daniels, the first place Commanders, going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers recently benched Justin Fields, the former Bears quarterback, for Russell Wilson. Commanders, Jaden Daniels, they're making some big plays. I picked them 2 weeks ago against the Bears. They won 18-15 on a walk-off Hail Mary touchdown, even though Jaden Daniels was hurt in that one. The Commanders look like, to me, this is one of the teams I did not expect to be here. Remember a few years ago when they were the Washington football team, Taylor Heineke, who was the starting quarterback, led them to a 7-9 record and made it to the playoffs and then lost in the first round. This year, Jaden Daniels, the defending Heisman Trophy winner, just like last year's Heisman Trophy winner just like last year, C.J. Stroud, kind of. The Texans making strides to get to where they need to go. For the Commanders, this is a great team. For the Steelers, I'm not so sure what to think about the Steelers, even though they're a first-place team. They're fighting for first place with the Ravens at the moment. And we'll see what they can do the rest of the year. For the Commanders, Jaden Daniels, I like to see how they play, have connections. You have Terry McLaurin, multiple receivers to throw to. Their defense is pretty good as well. And with that being said, I think the Commanders win on Sunday against the Steelers. Give the Steelers a loss this week. Moving on. Next up, we have the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, they're going up against the Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray. And look at this matchup. Kyler Murray, the Cardinals, 5-4. First place, coming off a win against the Bears over the weekend. And you can look at Arizona and say this. They're a surprising team to me. For the Jets, Aaron Rodgers, they've won 2 in a row. They're making strides to come back. Currently, with a 3-6 record, they're doing what they can have to get wins this year. And I think it's another moment for Aaron Rodgers to do what Aaron Rodgers does. And let's make comebacks. He did that with the Packers a lot. And with the Jets so far, the last few weeks, he's done it. And going into Arizona, a team that's 5-4, only game of 500, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are going to have their hands full this week. Aaron Rodgers, when he was with the Packers a few years back, in the last 10 years or so, he made the playoffs, played a wild card game in Arizona, had a walk-off. They had a win in overtime, if I remember correctly, or win later in regulation against the Cardinals in the playoffs when he was with the Packers. And they did that. Him and the Packers did that. I think Aaron Rodgers makes some more magic happen this week against the Cardinals. I think the Jets get another win after picking against them last week and them winning. I think it happens again, but I'm picking the Jets this time around. So we'll see what happens on Sunday afternoon. Moving on. Philadelphia and Dallas. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles come against the Cowboys this week. Cowboys without Dak Prescott, unfortunately. This week going in, Eagles, Jalen Hurts, second place team. Cowboys in third. And without Dak Prescott, who's out sidelined with a hamstring injury again for the second time in his career in the last few years. The Eagles are playing on the road this week against the Cowboys team without their starting quarterback. So the question for Cowboys is who's starting quarterback? And for the Eagles, can the Eagles and Jalen Hurts go on a road and win, unlike they did in the postseason just like they did last year. They did this a lot in the past. Eagles and Cowboys is always a rivalry. These two teams always split their games 1-1. When home team usually takes one, the home team always takes the other. When they switch off. So, but I think the Cowboys without Dak Prescott, I think it's gonna be hard for them to win. I do think the Eagles get this win on the road on Sunday. So gonna be the Eagles here on Sunday. Moving on. We have the Detroit Lions, Jared Goff, going up against the Houston Texans on Sunday Night Football coming up. And C.J. Stroud, a game that's going to be fun to see. Should be interesting on Sunday Night Football between these two. Lions coming off a big win, 24-14 against the Packers, a game I predicted the Packers won, unfortunately. So that was a loss in the loss column last week. And the Houston Texans, I picked them, they won against the Jets. And they lost 2. So last week I picked both teams against their opponents. They don't 0-2 for me this. So we'll see what happens this time. Lions, first place team in the NFC North now that we're halfway through the season. We'll see what they can do this week to stay in that position, in the pole position in first place. Texans as well. We'll see what happens with them. They can stay up there as well. And I do think it does happen for one of these two teams this week. Jared Goff, they're making big plays. 24-14 winner last week. Last time I picked them, I don't remember the last time I picked them. I picked against them when they played the Vikings and they won 31-29. I was wrong then. But for these two teams have great teams, great offenses, great quarterbacks. Senior shown the Texans first place. The Lions, Jared Goff in first place again. It's going to be an interesting matchup to watch. Lions can pull trick plays off at points in time. So can the Texans if they can. Have to. I think it's going to be a close game this week in Houston. And with that being said, I think the Texans win a close one to snap their streak of bad losses in a row after losing to Packers and also to the Jets last week. 2 weeks in a row with the losses. I think the Texans break that streak and finally get a win this week playing at home in another night game. So with that being said, that is the Week 10 NFL predictions. Here is the recap I'm taking. Starting out Thursday Night Football, I'm taking the Ravens and Lamar Jackson over the Bengals and Joe Burrow. In Tampa, I'm taking the 49ers and Brock Purdy over Baker Mayfield and the Bucks. In Kansas City, I'm taking Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs over to the Broncos and rookie quarterback Bo Nix. In Washington, I'm taking Jaden Daniels and the Commanders over the Steelers and Russell Wilson. In Arizona, I'm taking the Jets and Aaron Rodgers over the Cardinals and Kyler Murray. In Dallas, I'm taking the Eagles and Jalen Hurts over the Cowboys. And in Houston, I'm taking the C.J. Stroud and the Texans over to the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. That is the Week 10 NFL predictions for you this week. Come back and please comment below who your favorite team is going to play and if you think they're going to win this week. With that being said, please remember to watch, like, subscribe, don't forget to tell friends as well to do the same if they haven't done so already. Also, don't forget to hit that notification button below so anyone there's a new video on the channel. With that being said, have a good day. Stay safe and peace out. I'll see you right back here next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, right, that's correct. For Week 11, unfortunately, not Tuesday. Week 11's prediction video on Wednesday next week. So I'll see you then, everyone. Have a good day. Stay safe and peace out. See you next week. Bye for now and peace out.